But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge.
The walls are closing in for the increasingly disgraced New York Attorney General Letitia James, the woman who made it her mission to prosecute Donald Trump for alleged fraud, is now drowning in 3 simultaneous legal battles that expose a stunning pattern of alleged misconduct. And the latest accusation? You're not going to believe it. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you are changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Letitia James, the woman who made President Trump's life a living hell with her bogus, fabricated charges that no person in the history of humanity has ever had to face, is now getting some much-deserved payback. She isn't just dealing with one legal problem. She's facing 3 distinct and serious allegations simultaneously, creating what legal experts are calling an unprecedented situation for a sitting attorney general. First, there's the federal criminal indictment for mortgage fraud in Virginia. Now, prosecutors allege that when James purchased a $137,000 home in Norfolk, Virginia, back in 2020, she told her lender, the bank, it would be her second home, and that was apparently to secure more favorable loan terms, which turned out to be a 3% interest rate that saved her around $19,000. But here's the problem. We found out that James never lived in that home. Instead, her grandniece or her great-niece and her children moved in immediately and have been living there for the last 5 years. Now, the mortgage contract that James signed is crystal clear. It explicitly states that she would maintain exclusive control over the home, over the property, and use it for her own personal use and enjoyment for at least 1 year. Yet her own tax returns tell a very different story. They show 0 personal days at the property, and it shows that she received rental income, even though the mortgage benefits that she got explicitly state that the home could not be used as a rental property. So for just that alone, James faces, as I understand, up to 60 years in prison on 2 federal counts, one bank fraud and the other making false statements to a financial institution. Her trial for that is scheduled for January. But it actually gets worse. And that's because the discrepancies go beyond just occupancy. James apparently told the bank that the Virginia property was her second home, but she told the IRS that it was an investment property to claim depreciation deductions. And she told New York State something else entirely on her financial disclosure form. So if we look at how the property has been classified in these different forms, from the bank loan to the IRS to New York State, we find that she gave a different answer on each form. So, for example, and those answers completely contradict each other. So, for example, if she lived at this Virginia address as she told the bank, then she committed tax fraud with the IRS because she claimed it was a rental property. If she didn't live there, if she did rent it out like she told the IRS, then she committed mortgage fraud with the bank, since she said it was going to be a second home. And under the stipulations of this favorable loan, it was not to be used as a rental property. So no matter how you slice it, Letitia James appears to have boxed herself in here with contradictory statements on different legal forms. So that's the first case against her that she's facing. Second, Letitia James is under federal criminal investigation for selective enforcement in her prosecutions of Donald Trump and the NRA, the National Rifle Association, which she attempted to basically sue out in oblivion and out of New York. The Department of Justice has just issued grand jury subpoenas demanding documents from James's office to determine whether she violated the civil rights of President Trump and others, the NRA, by bringing politically motivated cases. So the court's documents were just unsealed, and they found that James is fighting these subpoenas, arguing that the investigation is nothing more than political retaliation by the Trump administration alike. But prosecutors are pointing out there's ample evidence of political bias on Letitia James' part. I mean, remember, she literally ran around New York, spent months campaigning for New York's attorney general by promising to go after Trump. That was her entire campaign. Her entire campaign was get Trump. So as far as she was concerned as the state's AG, she had already convicted Trump before he was ever accused of a crime. That is the very definition of weaponized legalism, or more commonly, lawfare. It's using the law as a tool of retribution against one's political enemies. The very thing she's accusing Trump of doing, but only Letitia James is being investigated for it formally right now as we speak. But it's the third charge that just came out against Letitia James that is going to absolutely blow you away. But first, gang, have you seen these gold and silver prices of late? They've absolutely skyrocketed. Gold particularly is up 50% year to date. What's so key here is that this isn't coincidence. It's the direct result of President Trump's golden age pro-growth agenda. Goldman Sachs, they actually just raised their 2026 gold outlook to $4,900 an ounce. And many analysts think they're actually being overly conservative. And to make it even better, we've got over 3 more years of these America First policies ahead of us. This is exactly why smart Americans are taking control of their retirement accounts right now by backing them with physical gold and silver. My friends over at Augusta Precious Metals are so excited to help you be a part of this new gold rush. Augusta works with Americans who have over $50,000 in their IRAs, their 401ks, or other retirement accounts to make the smart move into smart money. They're patriots just like you, and they would love to chat. Give them a call at 844-763-3908. Tell them I said hello. They're our good friends here. Or you can text Turley to 35052. Try that one. Text Turley to 35052. Seriously, gang, this is the time. Central banks around the world are stocking up on gold and silver as we speak. Let the patriots over at Augusta Precious Metals make sure you don't miss out on this. Text Turley to 35052 or click on the link below and go to turleygold.com, and you're going to get an instant access to a free 2-minute report that reveals the greatest threat to your retirement right now. Again, that's turleygold.com or text Turley to 35052 and talk with our good friends, the patriots over at Augusta Gold today. A watchdog group called the New York Citizens Audit Civic Fund has just filed a massive civil rights lawsuit against James, accusing her of weaponizing her office to silence citizens who expose alleged voter roll irregularities. Now, this lawsuit that was just filed in federal court a couple of weeks back on October 16th, it presents explosive allegations that really strike at the heart of election integrity. The plaintiffs is led by the executive director of the organization, along with 7 individual citizens, claim they discovered serious problems in New York's voter registration system. So according to the complaints, New York assigned nearly 2.5 million unique state voter identification numbers to just 1.2 million voters. So that would essentially mean that they were giving voters 2 different IDs, 2 different voting IDs. The lawsuit also alleges over 250,000 missing New York City votes and 436,000 unexplained votes in elections from 2020 to 2024. And when these citizens tried to bring this evidence to authorities, including Letitia James's office, they claimed they were shut down. They claimed they were mocked. They were threatened. According to the complaint, James's office didn't just ignore their findings. that her office actively worked to suppress them. The lawsuit alleges that James's team sent, intimidating letters essentially saying, stop sharing your findings or else. And then they proceeded to launch a whole smear campaign calling their research, misinformation and the like. When the group tried to use New York's Freedom of Information law to obtain records, they allegedly faced delays, denials, and excuses. And so they're suing her. They're seeking substantial damages, a comprehensive external bonded certified audit of New York's entire election process from registration all the way through certification, and injunctions to stop James's office from initiating future investigations or labeling citizens as disinformation actors, right? Conspiracy theorists, and so on. Now, what makes this whole situation particularly remarkable is that Letitia James built her entire political career on prosecuting Donald Trump for the exact same type of alleged fraud she now stands accused of committing. The incredible irony here is that the very accusations of misrepresenting property values to banks, the very charge she brought against Trump, even though all the banks he worked with verified that his properties were worth precisely what he quoted them, those charges of misrepresenting property values to banks is exactly what she is now going to court over herself. The weaponizing of the law that she accuses Trump of doing is exactly what she herself is being investigated for by the Department of Justice. Again, you can cut the irony with a knife. And so it turns out what we're witnessing here is hardly the selective political prosecution of a Democratic attorney general by Trump's Justice Department. No, it's the exposure of an increasingly apparent, highly corrupt career politician who allegedly spent decades committing the very crimes she accused others of committing. Her own mortgage contracts are publicly available and explicit in their terms. The tax return shows 0 personal days at the property. The election integrity concerns documented by citizens are detailed and specific. The walls do appear to be closing in on Letitia James. It looks like she's about to learn the hard way that no one is above the law. If you've ever wondered how we got to this point, this woke confusion about truth, family, and morality, you need to read The Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis. I'm leading a 7-week live book study through it with our Courageous Patriot community, and I'd love to give you a free preview. You'll get the first episode and a digital copy of the book absolutely free. Head to turley.pub/abolitionofman and check it out. Trust me on this one. You're going to love it.